I am currently reading a book titled Undeniable: Evolution and the Science of Creation by Bill Nye, the Science Guy. You may have heard of him. The book, as the title clearly states, delves into the science of existence and the compelling evidence that supports Darwin's theory of evolution. The author, however, cannot help but take shots at creationists who believe that the world was in fact created by a divine power and is only 6,000 years old. I strongly encourage you to read this book, as I would encourage you to read any book that will help increase your knowledge of the world we live in. I myself believe in the process of evolution. I believe that all of creation starts with a single cell or single circle, what I referred to as the cipher in my first video. These single circles then replicate and combine with others to form more complex geometrical forms we see today. But I also believe the universe was created by a supremely intelligent force or entity that resides in all things. Basically, I believe that evolution is not a random process, but predestined by super-intelligent will. God does not micromanage or sit and design each organism individually, because God knows how everything will turn out eventually. There is one line in Bill Nye's book that ironically summarizes all of this. He uses it as a jab at creationists, but I think he would do well to remember it himself. When referring to creationists' willingness to accept microevolution but not macroevolution, Bill Nye says, "You don't get to select which facts you like and which you don't." This is great advice. Let's examine some of the biggest arguments between science and creationists. Science says that all the heavier elements we see today was created from stardust. When a star goes supernova, hydrogen and helium are fused together to form all the other heavier atoms like gold and carbon. So science is in fact saying we are made from stardust and not by a creator. That's not the big revelation scientists would love it to be, because religion says the same thing. Religion says we are created from dust, ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Science also says that all matter is made from energy. Religion says God is a super intelligent energy or light. One of the biggest criticisms Bill Nye has against creationists is their idea that the universe is only 6,000 years old. He finds it laughable. Scientifically and logically, we know that the universe is much older than this. Science says the universe is roughly 13.75 billion years old. The simple proof is that it takes light from distant stars millions of years to reach us. So if the universe was only 6,000 years old, we would not be able to see the stars at night. Bill is right. I myself believe the universe is in fact eternal, but more on that later. What I want to draw your attention to here is Bill Nye's jab at creationists when he says you cannot select which facts you like and which you don't. Not long after his comment, Bill goes on to mention how science has benefited humanity and how we use Einstein's theory of relativity in our GPS systems every day. So I know Bill must be familiar with Einstein's theory of relativity, because you know what else the theory of relativity does? It proves that time is relative to the observer. I don't want to go on a tangent here about relativity. There are many online sources or movies you can refer to. The important thing about relativity is that time can pass differently depending on the velocity of the observer. For example, if you were on board a spaceship that was hypothetically traveling at close to light speed, then time would pass slower for you than it would for those of us stuck here on Earth. So let's take a hypothetical situation. Say you were a spirit or soul made only of energy and you could move at light speed or close to light speed. Then time in the external universe would have no bearing on you. 13.75 billion years could pass and only 6,000 years may have passed for you, or maybe even no time at all. You see, that's what relativity means. We can't really travel at light speed, but Bill Nye is right. We use relativity every day in our GPS systems. So he can't choose what facts he likes and which he does not. The universe could be 13.75 billion years old for us, but for some super intelligent force or souls living in heaven, moving at light speed, the universe could be 1 second old or even eternal. Time is relative. Don't use science to intellectually bully people, Paul Nye. I will gladly have this debate with you in person should this post ever reach you. You are highly educated and probably far more eloquent, but I am a free thinker. The other major problem I have with this war between evolutionists and scientists is the idea that evolution is random chance, and so there is no God because we are all here by sheer luck. If you read Bill Nye's book, you will hear his argument that any intelligent person can see that evolution must be right. The theory of evolution makes so much sense that it must be right. I agree with him. The theory of evolution is intelligent and it makes sense. Have you ever heard someone say that something was random and chaotic and it makes sense? I never have. Evolution shows that when an organism develops a trait that is beneficial to its survival, that organism has a higher chance of survival. They simplify it by coining the phrase survival of the fittest. That means that all the life forms we see here today are here because they were good enough to be here. They adapted and they survived. There was nothing random about it. Life is following a pattern. If you favor a stronger trait, then it's not random, it's intelligent. You cannot have a pattern and say that something is random. That is illogical. You can't choose what facts you like and which ones you don't, whether you are an evolutionist or a creationist. The simple truth is that everything has a purpose. We would not have been here if it was not for science and religion. Every single thing that happens is a part of the whole. This should be the message coming from both science and religion, because even if we cannot prove the existence of God, a belief in a force that makes us all equal is the only hope for our survival. Unless we believe in something greater, we will destroy ourselves by fighting about who is right and who is not. Like religion, science is becoming divisive. I myself criticize religions for being divisive, but I know that they have a purpose. We must evolve into creatures who believe in purpose and destiny, or else nothing matters. If certain birds evolve special beaks for a reason, then as with everything else, we evolve into creatures who believe in God for a reason. It helps us to survive. The last point I want to touch on is the idea that science can make predictions which then later prove that science was right, whereas religion has never predicted anything that has come to pass. I will do a separate video on this topic, which may be highly controversial. Is there a God and is there a heaven? We are moving closer and closer to a definitive answer. Please look out for my next videos and please buy a copy of my book.